Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei become a Bloodknight part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video with your friends. I have created my other videos playlist, there you can watch my all videos easily, check out as well. Let's start this video. My name is Issei Hyoudou, a toddler at the age of 10, I live with my mother and father in an average household in Japan. I am currently running for my life in a forest in the middle of the night. I am completely terrified and traumatized at this moment. You see, my family was given an all-expense trip at Vatican City, courtesy of the religious Hyoudou family. This was supposed to be a relaxing and wonderful vacation for us, it was pleasant at first, and everything seemed to be fine. I didn't imagine that something so great could morph into a living nightmare. Pav, the little boy, was frantically running in a dark forest, trying his very best to get to safety. Although his young physique made him stop to rest behind an old oak tree, he slumped pathetically, comprehending his situation as much his developing brain could muster. He just witnessed the brutal murder of his loved ones at the hands of two men with black crow-like wings protruding from their backs. Watching his mom and dad being butchered by what seems like spears made of bright light. Seeing the life of their eyes sucked with the painful spill of blood. His thoughts began to visit those harsh moments. "Oh OOC, what are we doing again?" The mysterious man asked his partner as he kept strangling the elder Hyoudou. Two imposing men just trespassed the hotel room with the intent of killing everyone in it. "It's easy, Chad, we are tasked by our cadre to kill all the potential sacred gear users and their families to eliminate any form of threat in the future," the man said with a demented grin as he continued to pierce the woman in his feet, desperately begging for mercy. Their cries of mercy were heard on deaf ears, the two men continued to laugh in pleasure. They were oblivious to the child that was hiding in the closet. Little Issei could clearly see the perpetrators as they tortured his parents. His eyes were full of tears, his little hands desperately trying to keep shouts of anger and sadness coming out from his mouth. He wanted to help them, he was too weak to protect them, he thought to himself. Mr. Hyoudou saw his child in the closet, tears were already streaming from his eyes. Both him and his wife knew that they were going to die, but he would never let his son be killed by these monsters, he'd be damned if he wasn't going to put up a fight. He spitted at the eyes of his killer, making the fallen angel lose his grip on Issei's father, then the breadwinner immediately grappled the two enemies with strength fueled by his adrenaline rush. "Run, Issei. Run. Live. Live," he shouted at his son, where the little boy obeyed immediately. Issei ran as fast as his little feet could muster, heading for safety or anywhere far away from those evil men. "You insignificant worm." The fallen angel known as Dahansik swore as he pummeling the fighting human to the ground and impaled him with a light spear. "Quick, you idiot. The boy is trying to escape. Lord Gabriel will have our heads for our insolence," he ordered his comrade. "On it," his partner replied as he flew through the halls with the intent of butchering the child. "Where are you, heathen scum?" Chad shouted, his shrill voice clearly heard in the background. As Dahansik knew that the child was being taken care of, he shifted his gaze to the couple that were bleeding profusely. They were attempting to hold each other's hand in a last effort to comfort each other. He eyed the couple in disgust and left the room to help find the runaway target. "Sentimental rubbish," he mocked as he flew away. "Honey, I am sorry for not protecting our family," Mr. Hyoudou managed to say between coughs of blood. His wife just stared at him with eyes filled with tears. "It's okay, as long as Issei is alive and well I will never regret marrying you," she said as she gripped at her husband's larger hand with her last remaining strength. "Issei, please live," Mrs. Hyoudou said her last words as she succumbed to her blood loss and closed her eyes along with her husband. The young couple was now lying in their hotel room, their bodies lifeless and cold, the place was filled with the stench of blood and tears. It'll be an hour before any of the hotel staff will even notice that there was something wrong. The fallen angels made a spell to cancel out the loud noises that were released in the night. He couldn't stand at the bitter memory. He whimpered on his knees and wiped the overflowing snot in his nose with his sleeve. He was alone and afraid, he was in the middle of the forest in the dead of the night, what was he supposed to do now? "Now Issei, if you ever run into bad obstacles, a sincere prayer to God won't hurt a bit," Aunt Hyoudou said to Issei while trying to comfort him. "Oh come Jazz, stop pestering my boy and this invisible guy in the sky nonsense. You do know that I'm a man of science, right?" Issei's dad joked with his longtime friend. "Oh don't be like that, Jack, you just got to believe that's all," she retorted. "Yeah right." The family man snorted as he ruffled his son's hair. He remembered his aunt saying that to him only a couple days ago, she was trying to help him after having a fight with his friend Irina. Seeing no other option left, he clasped his hands together into a prayer sign and began to pray. "Well, hello there God. It's me Issei, I hope you're not too busy but can you please help me? I'm scared. Mommy and daddy's dead and I'm all alone with bad people with wings chasing after me. Please God, please help me." I know that this is selfish for asking you, but I don't want to die, I want to avenge my family please. He prayed desperately while looking at the sky, expecting that some form of an angel would help him. Alas, he was met with disappointment as no one came to his rescue. Where is that kid? He heard a demented voice coming towards his direction. Hearing footsteps coming towards him, he accepted his fate and just prepared for his attacker. If I'm going to die by these bad monsters, then I'm going to fight them like Dad did. The boy said in a scared tone yet with a hint of conviction. Come on, there must be something I could use. The young lad was rummaging the grassy dirt for anything that could be used as a weapon. Found something, a nail? Asked the child as he found a long nail with Latin words, Helena est scriptor clavis inscribed on it. Helena what? The child barely understands the foreign inscription. Well look what I found, ha 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 ha. Oi, I found the target. The fallen angel immediately gripped Issei in the shirt collar, fully savoring the sight of a young boy with fear in his eyes. What are you waiting for? Kill him already. I just want to relax in a brothel for the rest of the night, Tahansik proclaimed, stretching his back joints lazily. Please don't kill me. Issei pleaded as he clinged to Chad's arm with his left hand. Sorry kid, nothing too personal. You're just a dumb little kid with a stupid sacred gear. He began to form a light spear in his palm, menacingly enjoying the pain he was bringing. Issei began to squirm frantically to break free. How amusing, you're tough even for a kid. A simple light spear would do the trick, Yarh. The attacker screamed in pain as Issei struck him with a nail to his arm. Fucking child. Are you trying to give me tetanus? That's it, I'm going to make you suffer. He threatened as he removed the nail from his appendage and began to tower over the little boy. It's stabbing time. Chad exclaimed in demented glee as he stabbed little Issei squarely in his heart. Blood began to spill from the young boy's body as he fell with a loud thud. The boy's body was lying in the middle of a forest with a huge nail in his heart, making his death more painful and slow than a simple impalement from a light spear. Chad just stared at the results of his actions with a condescending smirk. Come on Chad, we're burning moonlight over here. His partner shouted. Enjoy dying kid. If I were you, blame God for putting a lousy light spear in you. Ciao. He said as he waved a mocking goodbye at his target, fully indifferent to the pain he brought upon the child and left with Tahansik. Issei just laid the grass covered by his own blood, he could feel the bitter taste of it in his mouth, his hand clutching his gaping wound. Seeing his blood drizzle in his fingers just made him cringe in utter pain. He was starting to cry again, crying on his tragic misfortunes, asking why the world was so cruel to him. At a young age of 10, he saw his parents being murdered, how he ran from the attackers that only resulted in his impending death. He will die knowing that superheroes weren't here to rescue him like in the Saturday morning cartoons. What tragedy, your whole family and yourself being killed by demented beings with black wings. This hurts Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. He managed to say between coughs of his crimson liquid. I am sorry as well, child. A booming voice made itself known which surprised Issei. What goes there? He asked. Look at your left arm. It responded, urging the little boy to look at his left hand, revealing a large red dragon-like gauntlet that already covered most of his arm. A bright green jewel was adorned in the center of the palm, and golden spikes were protruding on it. Or blue. He coughed. Save your strength, I might be able to stabilize your body for a few more minutes, the being said. The jewel in the gauntlet began to glow, healing some of Issei's wounds, but couldn't stop the nail in his heart that was currently lodged in. Thanks, who are you? You sound tough. Issei said weakly. I am Drag, the Red Dragon Emperor. I am currently sealed in your body for you to hold my sacred gear. Sacred gear? You mean, the reason why those bad people killed my family? Unfortunately, yes. For that I am sorry, my boy. I could heal you, but the nail seems to be stubbornly lodged in your heart and you lost a lot of blood from the ordeal. I am sorry. Drake sincerely apologized. That's okay, Drake, at least there's someone looking after me when I die. Hey Drake, is there a heaven that I could go to? I wanted to see my parents again. Yes, there is one, child, do not worry though, your pure soul would certainly earn you a spot up there. The dragon said in a soothing manner. Awesome. He said quietly, before coughing up more blood, the pain in his chest began to numb. What is your name, boy? Asked Drake. Issei Hyoudou, sir. The boy politely revealed his name. He was a young boy in the wrong place at the wrong time. This sucks. I wanted to live. I wanted to have a family. Thank you for comforting me, even if I can't see you. Issei said with a small smile, a single tear escaped in his eye before he closed it. The young Hyoudou laid in the forest grounds alone, with only a non-corporeal being there to comfort him. He wanted to live a meaningful life that his parents wanted for him, but alas, this wasn't supposed to be. I am so sorry, Issei. I promised that pure beings like you would be avenged. You could have made a fine host. The dragon sadly said. He was already waiting to depart to another host when suddenly he felt a great presence in the young boy. What? Impossible, I never felt this holy aura in ages. Derek stated in shock. Issei's lifeless body began to shake rapidly, his wound in his heart began to glow a bright white light. The long nail in heart started spinning quickly as numerous thorns and vines began to cover all of his gaping wounds until it was all fully healed. The little Hyoudo's eyes began to open slowly as the bright moonlight greeted him. He made a huge gasp of air as he was finally resurrected before coughing some more. What the fudge? I'm not dying, I'm not bleeding. Issei said as he began to check his body for any sort of illness. He was ecstatic that he found nothing but a healthy body. Issei. Are you alright? What happened to you? Drake said in worry. Yes, I'm alive. What happened? The toddler pondered before being subjugated to an intense migraine. The severe headache made Issei fall again to his knees, gripping his head to appease the great pain with limited success. Flashes of bright light began to flash before his eyes as his surroundings were engulfed in an endless void of monochromatic white, stretching in every direction as far as his eyes could see. Where am I? He asked. You're in the mindscape, Issei. Although I was shocked to find out that you managed to get here though. A booming voice answered. The toddler was then greeted by a 50-foot western dragon that completely towered over him. His imposing aura amazed the young boy, for he resembles a lot of the dragons from fairy tales. Awesome, that's your real form? He asked in childish curiosity. Not really. Indeed it is. I am surprised you're not afraid. You are a brave boy. He said proudly. Why am I here though? This place is kinda creepy and empty. Do you know anything about this? He finally questioned. I am confused as you are. To be honest, I should be on another host right now. I am still reeling on the fact that you're perfectly healed and not dead. I do. A feminine voice answered, earning the attention of the two. Whoa. Who are you beautiful strangers? Issei asked excitedly. I certainly didn't expect this at all. Saint Helena, mother of a former Roman emperor, founder of the incineration anthem, and the first bearer of the very nail that was used to crucify Jesus Christ himself. Drake introduced. I see that my reputation precedes me. How charming of you, Red Dragon Emperor. The woman teased. Helena, huh? You're pretty. Issei said as he observed the new person in his mindscape. Helena just smiled at little Issei while caressing his face in amusement. Such a cheeky young lad. Helena was wearing a simple black nun's attire that perfectly hugged her voluptuous figure, her headdress barely covering her beautiful hair. Her blonde locks had a complementing shade of green. Her aura was both warm and comforting. Yeah, cute. I still have a question for you though. Why are you here? And why did Issei's mortal wounds magically healed? And why are there thorns? The dragon asked. Oh Drake, you never change, haha. Well, to answer all of your questions. Little Issei here somehow managed to possess my relic. I'm referring to the nail that has my namesake, of course. She chuckled cutely. Of course. I was right after all, my host was really lucky then. How very convenient. So that was the reason why I'm alive. Can that nail help my mom and dad? He pleaded innocently, his eyes showing the pair that he still has hope that his parents will return. I am truly sorry, Issei. But, you can't use the nail. Issei wanted to cry, but after all that transpired, he ran out of tears for the night and just slumped his head low. Oh you poor thing, it's okay, you still have us after all. We're here to guide you. Helena hugged the child, sincerely trying to comfort him. Do not worry, child. I promise that we will avenge your wellsprings. Those fallen angels will pay for their despicable crimes. Drake affirmed his statement as he balled his fists in order to cheer up the orphan land. The saint just stared at the Welsh dragon in a disappointed look while still hugging Issei tightly. What? I'm still a fearsome dragon. Even if you're a follower of the biblical god, we dragons have the law of vengeance. We would never tolerate. The Welsh tried to defend himself before being interrupted by the saint, her face displayed a determined aura. I know. Issei will perfectly avenge his loved ones. Our faith teaches us to love and forgive everyone, yet we are an exception to one of the Lord's most cherished commandments. She asserted, breaking her hug from the young Hyoudou and began to stare at the huge dragon. We are an exception. The moment the nail was struck in this innocent boy's heart, he became something more. He became a scrap of miracle. He now possesses two of the most powerful Longinus tier sacred gears in existence. She explained softly. I didn't expect that from you. Let's just say that I belong to the more fanatic side of the faithful spectrum. She retorted. So what do we do now? Issei inquired. To properly train your new powers, you need a little history lesson. She then touched the little Hyoudo's forehead with one of her delicate fingers. What are you planning, Saint? The Welsh dragon asked. Although the nun didn't entertain the question and just focused on the young child before her. Just relax for me, little Issei, this might sting a bit. She warned with a small smile as Issei looked in awe. Her finger began to glow as she started her chant. You are this generation's wielder of the mighty boosted gear that holds the soul of the Red Dragon Emperor. You were the lucky soul that was saved by this holy nail of mine. And by this nail, you are now given the sole mission of being our Lord's divine wrath here on our earth. You shall continue the path of righteousness and utter domination of the Red Dragon Emperor. We are now divine messengers of his true justice. We are to be his instruments of divine wrath. We are called upon to cleanse his kingdom, bringing ash from the mangled corpses of our Lord may be gone, but his teachings will forever continue in his followers and his word. From looking at your recent memories, you prayed for a miracle, and with this spectacular twist of fate, you are now a miracle yourself. Use this knowledge that I will bestow in order for you to control your blessed gifts to its fullest potential. Go forth and become the Holy Dragon Emperor. Issei just stared at the beautiful nun in front of him. Vital information regarding the history of the supernatural, the three factions, and the other pantheon's existence, the fall of Adam and Eve, the crucifixion of Jesus. Complete context of the Bible, the Seraphs, Satan's, and the two Dragon Emperors' glorious battles. Finally, the death of God of the Bible after defeating the four original began to flash before his eyes. He was also given the sight of past possessors of the nail, with an image of a young Helena finding the said nail in one of the ancient Roman catacombs. I apologize for this great and unfair burden that I entrusted you. You lost your parents because of the supernatural only moments ago, and now I am asking you to protect it. Do not worry though, I am always here to guide and protect you in my own ways. Helena said with a sincere yet faint smile, as she removed her hand from his head and engulfed him to a tight hug. I won't fail you, Helena-chan. I will try my best to help others suffering like me. Issei said with an energetic grin as he accepted the nun's hug. This should be fun, I would offer you my powers to help you in every step of your way. For this generation, the power of the Red Dragon Emperor is now allied with the church. The dragon roared. Now that's taken care of. I believe you need to get going. Since we're in the Vatican, the first suggest you find the nearest church so you could start training. Helena ordered. Isn't the church more about peace and no fighting? He asked. All beings have both goodness and darkness in them, the church was never an exception to that rule. Trust me, we will guide you there and get you to one of their secret organizations that would be perfect for us. Drake assured him. Okay. Issei agreed with a grin plastered in his face, oblivious to what Drake was pointing out. The reaction made the two elder beings sweat drop. Such innocence, I almost forgot that he's still a toddler. She said in amusement. The dragon just huffed as he crossed his arms. So Griselda, after our mission for this night, want to grab a bite to eat. A man wearing priestly robes was conversing with his female partner as they were walking in the lighter part and busier streets of Rome. For the fifth time, Dulio, no. The nun rejected. And blame a guy for asking. He teased with his arms folded at the back of his head. Just shut up and focus on the mission. We have intel that two fallen angels are in our territory without confirmation by Governor Azazel. She said strictly as they entered a particular brothel. This should be easy, aren't we? Just a couple low-class fallen angels, just a simple lightning charm will do the trick. He proclaimed, trying his best to impress the blonde nun. Don't waste your breath, Griselda replied in an indifferent tone. The two exorcists continued on their destination, not noticing the background noise from the near TV in the brothel. Breaking news. A couple staying in the Vatican Hotel had been reported dead on the spot in their room. The Italian police department also informed that the couple also have a child that is currently missing, the news anchor reported. I don't know what you're talking about, he murmured. Liar. You are in Catholic territory. Now, the Vatican wants to know why two fallen angels from the Grigori are doing this here in Italy. Speak up, heathen, and I might let you leave here unscathed. The female exorcist threatened. Griselda was already interrogating the murderous fallen angel. Her black jackboot was gleefully crushing his skull on the floor. His comrade was already bleeding on the floor after trying foolishly to assault the nun in their first encounter. Julio just shook his head in amusement. Griselda was already in her bad cop persona again. He drank his coffee graciously, enjoying the caffeine pumping his adrenaline up. They were in an abandoned alley far away from the general populace. Special enhancements were already placed in their area for safe measure. As his comrade continued to torture the poor sap, his earpiece began ringing, earning his attention. He answered it and was greeted with his superior's voice. Good evening, Bishop Maxwell. We're currently interrogating the two hoodlums right now. He politely informed us. That's nice, Brother Gesualdo. We are truly blessed for your swift efforts, but I have some updates regarding your current task. Based on our intel, as the bishop was relaying information, Dulio was intently listening while still sporting a light grin. Yet as the conversation dragged on, the exorcist removed the light smile and replaced it with a dark demeanor. Understood, Bishop Maxwell, amen, said Dulio as he ended the call. The exorcist then moved his attention to the harassed fallen angel. Now for the last woman, I don't know what you're talking about. Hansik stopped his retort when he felt his left arm sliced off by an invisible force. He grabbed at his amputated arm with a shriek. Pints of blood were already leaking from the stump. Griselda was also shocked. She then later surprised eyes on her. Listen here, fallen Hansik. Tell me, what were you doing in the Blessed Waters Hotel at 10 o'clock p.m.? He tightly clasped his cloaked hand to the battered foot soldier's throat, masking him gasp for air. "I'll say it again. What did you do to those people?" Dulio said impatiently. What they didn't notice was that the other one was forming light spears from behind the church duo's backs. He let out a loud scream before throwing his spears at the two with murderous gleam in his eyes. Griselda managed to dodge most of it as she unsheathed her basic light sword and hid behind the stone walls for cover. Dulio looked out. "We got a live one," she warned. "Take that, you Catholic inbreed." Chad cursed as he continued his impulsive barrage of attacks towards the Gesualdo exorcist. His actions caused the whole alley to be engulfed with clouds of smoke. As he was waiting for the smoke to settle, he felt his movements being restrained by tiny blue wires. He felt as if the sharp edges would tear him into pieces if dare so move an inch. "Are you done now?" Dulio said with a bored tone, causing Chad to look in fear. The exorcist survived his volley of attacks without much of a blemish in his black robes. The priest sees Chad's expression of dread as a sign that he was indeed done. He took casual steps closer to the restrained fallen angel, admiring his own piece of work. "I'll give you credit, you're a persistent little crow," he mocked. "How did you survive that? I made it impossible for you to dodge it." The fallen angel trembled. "Yeah, I didn't dodge, your spears were really too weak to damage me. I'm still offering you a deal. Just tell me what I need to know and I'll let go scot-free." Dulio persuaded with a dark tone. Chad made a solemn look, seemingly contemplating the offer, but quickly made a deviant expression and spitted his tainted saliva on the exorcist's robes. "Fuck you," he screamed. Gesualdo laughed. "Suit yourself, may we never meet again, fallen heathen." He then wriggled his fingers to manipulate the blue wires to tighten its hold on the demented man, and with a simple wave of his hand, the wires swiftly severed, sliced, and decapitated the man with one motion. He then adjusted his gloves and tucked his shirt and threw a flaming match to remove the brutalized corpse with blue fire. "Hot-headed aren't we today, what happened? Did Bishop Maxwell chew your bottom off again?" Griselda teased, sarcasm dripping from her tongue. "Worse. These two were the serial killers of potential sacred gear users, they recently killed a couple at the Vatican." He explained while grinding his teeth in suppressed anger. "What? In church territory I thought these were only punks. Oh, if I get my hands on the other one," she said as she threw her sword in rage. "Wait. Where's the other one?" Dulio expressed in dismay. "The coward ran away while his friend was busy not killing you. Don't worry though, he left us with a treat." Griselda pointed out the trail of blood towards the direction of the forest. "Good. If we're lucky, the bastard might call his friends and we'll get an all-you-can-kill buffet." He joked. "Lead away, ladies first." He made an exaggerated gesture, his grin returning. "Don't lighten the mood, I want to be angry if we're going to be killing these heathens." She huffed as she ran to follow the trail of blood at superhuman speeds, with Dulio catching up to her at a nice distance. "Bloody self-righteous retards. I'll get them back for this." Tehansik gasped, still gripping his severed appendage. He was sitting behind an old tree in the middle forest. The scene was all too refreshing for his memory, he indulged at the thought of that pesky little child that he slaughtered only a few hours. Oh, the pitiful irony, a moment I was only hunting that child a moment ago. Now I'm the one being chased, damn it. He remarked as he stood up and continued limping his battered body. "Where are those bastards? I called for help 10 minutes ago." The fallen angel complained, not noticing a small shadow figure stalking behind him. "That's him, that's the monster that killed my parents." The little child expressed his disdain and disgust towards the bleeding rogue Grigori agent. "Patience, child. You'll get your revenge when the moment is right, he's going to call for reinforcements. I suggest we leave to fight him another day, your body is still weak from fatigue. Then we should attack him now he's hurt and tired, let's kick his butt while we still can. I'm only worried for your health. After what you went through in a matter of hours you need to take refuge and rest. No. I am assigned by Ms. Helena to defeat monsters like him, I want to make him feel the pain that mommy and daddy felt." Little Issei pleaded. "Come on Drake dear, give the boy the chance to avenge his loved ones." A faint voice intruded their conversation. "Miss Helena? You'll take my side, right?" Issei asked, hoping to convince his dragon partner to help him. "Of course Ice." She sweetly answered in his mind. "Great. Fine, if that's what you two desire, do what you want. Just don't blame me if you die again, boy." The dragon grumpily conceded and offered his strength to the young lad. "Thanks, partner." Issei expressed his gratitude with a smile as he stealthily ran towards Tehansik. As he followed the fallen angel, the two beings inside his psyche continued arguing. Issei's mindscape, what were you thinking? Issei is not ready to handle the great power in him. He only awakened his boosted gear because he had a huge adrenaline rush and only lived because your nail was inside his damn heart. Bemoaned Drake as he towered over the nun in his real form as they were surrounded by an endless void of iridescent colors. The nun, however, was unfazed by the dragon's intimidating backlash. Just try this Red Dragon Emperor, I've already enumerated all the variables. Just have faith that what I am doing is for the greatest benefit for the child to carry on our mantles in the future. What are you planning? He asked in worry, not really trusting the clever nun before him. Helena just made an innocent pout with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Let's just say, our little Issei is going to feel how a true monster of God really is. She answered. The Red Dragon Emperor could only twitch his green eye in frustration. All of them were pricks, you know that. Dehansik said moodily as he was surrounded by a dozen of his subordinates. Sorry boss, we ran into some trouble with a crazy gun-wielding lunatic at a casino in an Asian country. That was hilarious. A female fallen angel said with a demented smile, her choice of attire was a blue dominatrix suit that may or may not be classified as real clothing. Yeah, Donasik. You could have seen that bald man's crazy face. Downey managed to seduce that bloke into giving her credit card, and a grunt continued the story before being slapped by Dehansik's other hand. Idiots. Can't you see I'm bleeding here? I've got 2 exorcists in my ass right now, and I want them butchered, you understand? You could rape the woman if you want. He explained while smirking. Got it, boss. They agreed. The group then prepared their weapons and waited for their prey. As they were preparing, they heard something rustling in the bushes and began their assault. It's them. Open fire at those runts. He yelled as his team proceeded in throwing their light spears at the bush. In the volley of attacks, a small figure then leaped above them and sliced the closest fallen angel it could hit with what seemed like a bayonet blade. Fucking cunt. Slinky got sliced. A grunt screamed. It was so fast. I couldn't see him blarg. Boost. A booming voice shouted, revealing the young boy. That's the exorcist, a fucking kid. Are serious, Dehansik? The female stated the obvious. A fucking kid that dismembered 2 of our men. Let's kill him. Her comrade retorted. Impossible, I killed that little wanker hours ago, this is bad, how could he be alive? The fedora-wearing Grigori scout shouted in fear. He could already see the imposing aura that little Issei was releasing as he was decimating his men to shreds. Wait. Crap. Dehansik called for backup. That kid is a monster. A monster, I tell you. Wait, have mercy, the grunt didn't finish his sentence as he was skewered by a dozen glowing bayonets that the child seemed made out of thin air. The little toddler was having a field day, he mercilessly tore through half of a dozen Grigori soldiers in less than a minute. One brave Fulin managed to sever the child's right arm before it healed instantly, thorns were seen regenerating the damaged body part. Issei then manipulated his vines to grapple the poor punk and body slammed the fallen angel to the ground multiple times, creating a crater and a mangled corpse in its wake. The remaining survivors were now trying to escape the carnage with little effect. This strength, it's too much. It seems like I'm acting on a reflex. I don't jump that high. Issei thought as comprehended the pain he was dishing out. That's your power, Issei, you need to control it. Confront and accept it. I gave you knowledge, right? Use it to help you train and master your gifts. Tonight, my dear child, is your first lesson on becoming a true warrior of God. Helena whispered in his thoughts, encouraging the young boy as performed a thrashing headbutt to a female fallen angel while eviscerating the other one. No, this can't be real. How could a child do this? He's turning them into bloody shreds, killing my men, and he's coming for me. Screamed Donasik as the same child that he helped in killing only a few hours ago was looking in his direction, killing intent in his eyes. This is for my mom. Issei punched the fallen angel in the gut, making him vomit his blood. This is for my dad. He then smacked his enemy's head to his knee with great force, making a painful sound of a cracked skull. The unholy man became dizzy and desperate, he was being manhandled and couldn't do anything to protect himself. He now felt the same pain that he caused countless others. Dehansik only whimpered in utter pain in retaliation. And this is ruining my family. The Hyoudou child finally manifested a holy dagger and impaled it in Dehansik's heart. The dagger then protruded thorns and vines that covered every inch of his entire body, causing him terrible suffering. He then caught in white flames, making his last moments of life a slow, pitiful end. He then looked at his killer with contempt and fear, his face and flesh burning away as the last strands of his meat turned into ash. Issei sighed. He quickly avenged the death of his parents and ended that fallen angel's life. He then looked at his left hand, the blade still in his hands. He still couldn't believe that he killed a dozen supernatural beings in one night. He then turned his gaze at the forming sunrise above him, quite enjoying the view of the morning. He then felt numb, his body was already suffering from fatigue. Like Drake said, he used up too much of his powers that he barely understood, much less endured it. He then slumped on the grassy ground, trying his best to stay awake. Rest my Issei, you did very well. How does it feel to avenge your loved ones? Helena comforted. Fulfilling, Miss Helena, thank you very much. He said in gratitude with a small grin. Rest now Issei, you deserve it. Leave the rest to us. And with that, the toddler finally fell asleep. That went better than expected, and this is only the beginning of Drag. Yes it is. Unfortunately for me, I'm going to stick with you for the rest of this boy's life. Not really what I call fun, Helena. Oh, Red Dragon Emperor, don't worry, I won't be here long. She teasingly replied. What? The dragon questioned. After Issei will master my long Ines, I'll finally return to the afterlife. The child will be a true successor to my Nail. Now shut your mouth for a moment, I sense that help is on its way. She explained, making the dragon amused. Holy tornado. Looks like someone mutilated the heathens before we did. Dulio shouted in shock. All he was seeing was impaled, mangled, and eviscerated corpses of fallen angels that were scattered across the prairie. Who could have done this monstrosity? I'll commend them for their work, but if the church has a new enemy on the loose, this could be a problem. He commented as he scouted for any survivors. Interesting, blessed blades, bayonets of all things. Whoever did this seems to be using one of the Lord's weapons. The young nun inspected the remains, not really affected by the gore. She was handling these gruesome acts since she was only dealing with puberty. I have a hunch that these were the work of our rivals. The carefree exorcist deduced. The English would never tread on Catholic land, they've already got a rat in their ranks they cannot afford in messing with the Vatican at this time. Pope Emeritus even stated that if we attack them right now, we could easily conquer those Anglican miscreants. The only thing stopping us right now is the current changes in management. She replied in an uncaring manner. Oh, don't be mean, Giselda, His Holiness even increased our budget this year as compensation. I like him actually, his homely attitude really enlivens the church. Dulio jokes. If you two stop gossiping about your current leader, my host should really need your assistance here. An intimidating roar made a toddler with a red gauntlet in his left arm. Good heavens. What's a boy doing here in the middle forest? Said a shocked Corda, immediately lifting up the boy and checking for any damage. Yeah, he'll live, Catholic. Before asking for any of your lousy questions. Could help my host rest at a better location or even an infirmary. That'll be nice and a change of scenery, this forest is really starting to get stale really quick. The dragon arrogantly explained. And who are you to order us around, huh? From what I see, you're just a trapped soul inside this boy. Dulio asked as Drake just sighed in annoyance and began to mumble curses and annoyances. Oh? I'm just the legendary Drake. The Red Dragon Emperor that is sealed within this child's boosted gear. The mighty dragon roared, sarcasm clearly evident in his introduction. How really mature for a dragon. Dulio retaliated. Oh, won't you stop arguing with a disembodied dragon soul and call for a vehicle, we need to get this child in the clinic. She scolded. Right. Yeah, doing that right now, wait for a minute. Dulio then immediately called a number in his cell phone and proceeded to follow his partner's orders. As Griselda was holding the child, Issei then tightened his hug towards the female exorcist with a small smile on his face. What's his name? She asked the dragon in the gauntlet. Issei. His name is Issei Hyoudou. Okay Issei, hold tight. She whispered as she stroked the toddler's back as she followed Dulio in returning to headquarters. Thanks for watching this video. Part 1 is over. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the playlist that I have created and enjoy. Link is in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.